As organised, Labour suspends the proposed nationwide strike over the federal government's removal of fuel subsidy. Senior correspondent Sharon Ijasan gives us a timeline of activities that led to Labour suspending the action.
It all started when President Bola Tinubu made a statement during his inaugural speech.
Of fuel subsidy, unfortunately, the budget that I've glimpsed before I assumed office and what I've heard is that no provision is there for fuel subsidy. The fuel subsidy is gone.
Few hours after, fuel queues resurfaced in petrol stations across the country. Less than 24 hours after the federal government removed fuel subsidy, organized labor demanded for a reversal as NNPC Limited adjusted the price of fuel pump nationwide. Representatives of the federal government swung into action, called for a meeting and started negotiating, but the meeting ended in deadlock.
Necessarily, labor unions will be agitated if there's any slight change in any price. In terms of pricing, you cannot control price when there is a deregulation. So there is a deregulation. The price you have today could go up tomorrow, could go down tomorrow. There will be interventions. We're not calling it palliative this around, but there will be interventions.
Few hours later, the president of the Nigerian Labour Congress, Joe Ajero, called for a strike, which was earlier scheduled for Wednesday, 7th June 2023.
The NLC decided that if by Wednesday next week, the Nigerian Labour Congress and all its affiliates will withdraw their services.
While the Trade Union Congress met with the federal government and shared a charter of demands, they proposed 200,000 naira as minimum wage.
In the interest of social dialogue, that they should revert back the pump price while discussion continues.
Organized businesses also called for tax waivers in a recent interview and advertorials.
Serious pressure from every angle. You are facing serious pressure. So let them review the fiscal policy measures that just came out, and we want a suspension of that policy, a suspension of the tax on plastics, a review.
On Monday, 5th June 2023, the National Industrial Court restrained the organized labor from embarking on any form of strike, ruling on an ex parte application filed before the court. Justice O.Y. Anuwe restrained the defendants, the TUC and the NLC from embarking on the planned nationwide strike, pending the hearing and determination of the motion notice fixed for hearing on 19th June 2023. After a series of meetings with government, organized labor signed an agreement with federal government representatives indicating the suspension of the planned strike. The agreements reached with the government are: TUC and NLC would establish a joint committee to review the proposal for a wage increase or award and establish a framework and timeline for implementation. The federal government, the TUC, and the NLC to revive the CNG conversion program earlier agreed with labor centers in 2021. The federal government, the TUC, and the NLC would review World Bank financed cash transfer scheme and propose inclusion of low-income earners in the program. The labor centers and the federal government to review issues hindering effective delivery in the education sector and propose solutions for implementation. The labor centers and the federal government to review and establish the framework for completion of the rehabilitation of the nation's refineries. The federal government to provide a framework for the maintenance of roads and expansion of rail networks across the country. All other demands submitted by the TUC to the federal government will be assessed by the Joint Committee. The labor centers and the federal government agreed to meet on June 19, 2023 to agree on the implementation framework. Sharon Ijasan, TVC News.